Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Orange County, Season 16, Episodes 13 and 14. Yes, it's another double review, and I want you to grab a snack, get comfortable, because I have a lot to say. Emily, I see right through you. All of this trying to be the bone collector, instigating, being messy. Girl, stop. You have no storyline and you're boring. Gina, the desperation and the delusions to think that Shannon of all people is jealous of you is comical. But with all that being said, let's just jump right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. Episode 13 starts off with Heather and Terry having a wrap party at their home. We learn that they have just finished their newest TV show, and it's called The 7-Year Stitch, where they give couples who hit the 7-year mark in their marriages a makeover. The whole concept, in my opinion, sounds cool. We already know that the DeBros do make some good TV. I like seeing Terry on Botched. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. And let's just be real. They know how to get a bag, okay?
Bling, bling, bling. Bitches is mad.
You already know that anytime Heather and Terry have a party, there's going to be a fabulous spread, and that food looked amazing. The drinks looked amazing. You already know my mouth was watering as we speak. A quick side note, if I should ever skip over the food in any of these episodes, just know that something is terribly wrong and send for help. Anyhow, Gina and Travis arrive. And of course, Gina is just so blown away by Heather's fabulous basement, and she makes a joke about how the basements in Long Island look nothing like this. I said, sweetheart, speak for yourself. Don't talk about everybody on Long Island doesn't have a nice basement. Plenty of people have gorgeous finished basements as well, okay? So, again, Gina does not need to be on this show. Like, I don't know how much more I can say it, but I just don't understand why production said, let's have her on here. And Miss Gina, I hope that you get nice and comfy because I plan on wearing you out for the duration of this recap.
Thank you.
And you're gonna always get it again and again and again.
So Gina greets Heather. She's happy to be there. She thanks Heather for inviting them. And of course, Gina has to bring up some secondhand gossip that she heard from Emily. So she says, is Dr. Jen coming? Heather says, yeah, she's on her way. Her and Ryan are both coming. And Heather brings up the dinner that she had at her house a few nights ago and how Dr. Jen got plastered. So she's like, I feel bad for her. It's actually going to be my first time seeing her since our dinner. So now Gina says, well, funny that you should mention that because Emily told me that Dr. Jen and Ryan are separating. So Heather's like, wait, what? Like, she didn't tell me that. I said, Gina, why do you feel the need to tell Dr. Jen's business? Let Dr. Jen tell people when she wants to tell people. That was not your place to share Dr. Jen's business to Heather like that. I remember when you got on this show and your marriage was falling apart because he was out there cheating in LA. You were so secretive and quiet about what was really going on. So it's really interesting to see you running your mouth about somebody else's marriage. So speak of the devil, Dr. Jen and Ryan both arrive to the party. We see Gina and Dr. Jen talking off to the side, and Gina is telling Dr. Jen how excited she is that Dr. Jen is going to do a brain scan on her daughter, Sienna. We learn that Gina's daughter has been having a tough time with her fine motor skills, and Gina wants to get it checked out. I said, here you are, gossiping and running your mouth about Dr. Jen's business, but now you're up in her face trying to get some free services. Ain't that something? Now Heather walks over to join their conversation, and Gina, for some reason, brings up Shannon. So Gina says, I heard from Emily that when we were in New York and you guys were at Shannon's dinner, that Shannon kept saying that you guys are going to have more fun than us. And honestly, I don't know why she would say that. Then Gina brings up the fact that Shannon didn't congratulate Heather on her podcast. I said, Gina, why are you bringing this up? Why is Shannon living in your mind rent-free? You know good and damn well that Shannon was just joking when she was saying we're going to have more fun than them. And if you and Heather were having a great time, who cares if Shannon was having more fun? Like, grow up. This night is supposed to be about Heather and Terry, but yet here you are bringing up Shannon. Like, girl, you look real pressed. I hope that Shannon ate you up at this reunion, because you have tried it. So now Heather walks off. She and Terry give a toast, thanking everybody for coming to celebrate with them. And we see that they have one of their celebrity friends sing a song. So while everybody's listening to the singer serenade the crowd, Dr. Jen says that this song is a testament to two people who love each other, and she doesn't have that. For the last time, Dr. Jen, I'm not going to keep saying this, but Ryan has checked out. You cannot be in this marriage by yourself. Two people have to want it. It's clear that you want it and he doesn't. And Dr. Jen, you seem like a nice lady, but I have to say, this needs to be your first and last season because, sis, you don't have it. That's no shade. I have found Dr. Jen to be very boring, no personality, stale, and we've seen this same storyline play out over and over again across many franchises. Oh, and I noticed that black couple that was there in the crowd. I said, okay. I said, Heather and Terry said, oh no, we actually do have some black friends. Now we see Dr. Jen and Gina talking once more, and Gina is questioning Dr. Jen about the separation. So now Gina decides to give some advice about what Dr. Jen should do and how if Dr. Jen wants her marriage, then she needs to fight for it. I'm like, Gina, you are in no position to advise anybody on how to have a healthy marriage. Stop. Second of all, if Ryan doesn't want to be in the marriage anymore, there's nothing that Dr. Jen can do about that. You do realize that, right? You're giving the most basic, generic advice to somebody who's really having a lot of serious issues with a spouse who doesn't want to be there anymore. Like, just be quiet, let Dr. Jen vent, and mind your business. Now, Heather walks over to join the conversation, and Dr. Jen says, can we discuss Shannon's party again? Because I was really upset when Noella was whispering about me to Emily. She adds that it really hurt her feelings to hear Noella talking about her and how she now wants to uninvite Noella to her event. You already know that since Heather can't stand Noella, she's not mad at that. She's like, girl, if you don't want her to be there, rescind the invitation because it's your moment, it's your night, it's your party. I definitely agree with Dr. Jen and Heather on this one. Because if somebody is showing signs that they don't like me, they've been nasty to me, they're talking about me behind my back, there's no reason for you to be in my space. Listen, when you spend top dollar on a party, you absolutely have the right to rescind an invitation if you see fit. Because I'll be damned if I'm spending thousands of dollars on food, good champagne, for you to show up, and you don't even like me. No. Now we jump to a short scene with Noella and her mom. They're out at dinner. Noelle is going on about how she wants to start a new chapter. She wants to put this behind her, and the next man who comes in her life has to be amazing. Now, I'm going to be honest, I was a bit distracted watching this scene because their appetizer looked so good. They started off with the beef carpaccio, and I was salivating. So while Noella is going on about how the next man who comes in her life has to be amazing, she brings up that she's never dated a black man. So her mom is looking at her like, okay, girl, why are you telling me this? And I caught the expression that her mom gave her. It was kind of like, okay, girl, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So since Noelle is on the topic of black men, she brings up her father. He was a well-known weatherman, and unfortunately, he was a deadbeat. He wasn't around for her. She saw him maybe like twice a year, and they didn't really have a relationship. You can tell that Noella's mom really wasn't here for this conversation about the dad. She kind of brushed it off. She was like, you know what? That was in the past. I really fell in love with his intellect, but she really wasn't trying to say much more than that. She was giving her the eye like, sis, I want to tell you to shut up right now, but these cameras are right here in my face. Now, this next scene really had me shaking my head. Emily and her family are going to the court to see Shane get sworn in since he has finally passed the bar exam in California. Now, I had no idea that Shane and Emily had taken the bar exam in Utah and both passed there. I was like, so if Shane was able to pass the bar in Utah, why couldn't he pass it in California? But I have heard that California and New York are the toughest ones. But anyhow, Emily is just so excited. She says that now her husband can finally get a job in California and start making some money. I was like, are you serious? But then again, I remembered when Emily first came on this show, she had said that Shane was pretty much living off of his parents and that she was the only one bringing in a check in the household. And was anybody else laughing while Shane was getting sworn in and he needed the judge to keep repeating the oath? I was like, oh my gosh. But Shane, you finally passed. You're sworn in. Now please go to some firm and bring some money home, okay? Emily and Shane's entire dynamic is just so weird to me. I don't really see what they have in common. Shane barely utters a word. I don't see the chemistry. I don't see the romance, the attraction between those two. And I will always be confused as to how they got together in the first place. But if we're being real, Shane doesn't seem like he's a match for anybody. Now we hop on over to another short scene with Gina. She's taking her kids to the dentist and her ex-husband Matt arrives. Now, I think that it is so hilarious that when Gina and Matt were actually married, the first season that she came on the show, she couldn't say his name. She couldn't show any pictures of him. Anytime he came around, the cameras had to blur his face. Because remember, he was cheating on her. But now since they're divorced, he's like, oh, hey, cameras, what's up? Now he wants to be shown. Now, I'm going to be real with y'all. I don't care too much about Gina. This scene wasn't anything interesting. I didn't really care. So with that being said, we can just breeze right on over to the next scene. Now we jump back over to Emily. She's out at lunch with an exoneree named Terrell. She says that during quarantine, she started binging on a lot of TV and she stumbled upon this documentary about the Innocence Project. And watching innocent people being locked up for crimes that they didn't do really rocked her world. Now, I don't mean to be shady and I don't mean to be cynical, but a part of me feels like Emily is doing this for a storyline. A lot of these women, when they know that they're not that interesting, all of a sudden they want to get into charity or really awesome causes. Not out of the goodness of their heart, but to remain on the show, to have something to talk about. I could be wrong, and again, I'm happy that she is looking into this because a lot of Black and brown people are unfairly convicted. But there was a part of me that was like, now, Emily, I've never heard you discuss anything about this these last few years of you being on the show. I mean, honestly, she hasn't talked about it at all this season except for this episode, so it really caught me off guard. So anyhow, we learned a lot about Terrell's story, how he was wrongfully convicted for a crime that he did not do when he was 17 years old. He says he was handcuffed by police, brought into the interrogation room, was denied counsel and was in jail for 15 years. And that's always very scary when you think about it. To know that you were minding your business, probably on your way home or to a friend's house, and then the cops stop you, take you to jail, and you didn't even get to appeal or fight your case. Like, that's very scary. Again, I'm happy that Emily is bringing this to such a big platform, but I hope that she's not doing this just for show and just for a storyline. Now let's discuss the final scene of this episode, shall we? It's the day of Dr. Jen's brain scan party. She's excited. And while she's getting her hair and makeup done, she calls up Noella, ready to uninvite her. She's like, look, Noella, unless you're going to come in peace, don't come at all. This is a big night for me in my practice. I don't need any drama. So Noella's like, yeah, of course, absolutely. We can talk about this at a later date. So Dr. Jen says, fine, I'll see you later tonight. Now, Dr. Jen is a lot nicer than I am, because I would have said, Noella, I don't want to hear the excuses. I don't want to talk about this at a later date. Like, you're just not invited. Don't come. Don't show up. There will be security at the door to escort you out if you even show up, so don't. So all the guests start arriving. Gina shows up in one of the ugliest outfits that I have ever seen. And somebody on Twitter hit the nail on the head when they said that she looked like Uncle Fester in that blazer dress and that her neck is sticking out. I was like, girl, what is this? And Gina really thought she ate with that outfit. I said, no, ma'am. And if I were her, I would have felt really embarrassed in that outfit, seeing my ex-husband and his new girlfriend come through. Heather and Terry arrive, and I was screaming. Heather comes in with this jumbo-sized bucket of KFC chicken because Dr. Jen and Ryan love fried chicken. And while we're on the subject of KFC, it's really a shame how they took the wedges off the menu. Like, those were the best things on the menu. If any KFC execs are watching my channel, please bring those wedges back on the menu, because things have not been the same since y'all took them off. Emily and Shane arrive, Noella arrives, and then we see Shannon and her boyfriend John arrive. Miss Shannon is not trying to be anywhere around Gina. She is over it. She's like, girl, I'm trying to have a good time. I don't want to talk to her. So now Dr. Jen makes her announcement, and she has this slideshow discussing the brain and what happens to it. And it's only supposed to be like a 10-minute presentation. So she's going over all these facts, and everybody's getting super bored. I was getting secondhand embarrassment watching. And it was almost like Dr. Jen could not read the room. Like, sis, people are falling asleep. Let's wrap this up. So Dr. Jen's speech is over, and now the party resumes, and we see Shannon and Gina talking privately. You already know that it's about to go left, because Gina cannot own up to anything. And she's trying to spin this like Shannon is the villain. So Shannon starts off the conversation by saying, Gina, I just want to talk to you because I've been hearing a lot of things from multiple people now that you are telling everybody that I'm jealous of you, and I'm not. So here's where I really got pissed off. Gina flat out lies and denies ever saying that. I was like, bravo, please roll the tapes back, because in several episodes, Gina has said that Shannon is jealous of her. She said it first to Emily when they had that play date with their kids. Shannon's getting annoyed, and she says, Gina, I also heard that you said that I was jealous of your friendship with Heather. And again, I'm not. I have my own friendship with Heather, so why would I be jealous of what you have going on? And also, Gina, Shannon and Heather have known each other for a long time. You just met her. So why would anybody be jealous? So now Gina admits that she did say that Shannon's jealous of her and Heather's friendship. And then she says, well, I keep hearing that you're calling me arrogant and how I need to put a pin in it. So Shannon says, yes, I have said that because your ego's getting out of control. Now Gina starts raising her voice and over-talking Shannon, and I'm like, that's the telltale move that any guilty person makes. You already know that Shannon is telling the truth in what she's saying, and you don't want to hear that. Now this argument leads us right into episode 14. They're screaming at each other. Shannon is livid, and rightfully so. Because for anybody like Gina to accuse me of being jealous, I'd be pissed too. So Shannon says, you know what, Gina? I'm still pissed at the fact that you asked me a few months ago if I have any friends. Like, who says that? And here's where Shannon cleared. She goes on to say that Gina has never invited her to anything. She says, I'm always inviting you to dinners, to parties, to events, and what do you bring me to? Nothing. So Gina's stuttering and stammering, and she's like, well, you know, I haven't invited anybody anywhere. And I said, we know that because you're broke. What events do you have? And also, that's part of being on the show. I know that it's a requirement every season for each housewife to have or host an event. And the fact that Gina has been on this show now for 4 years and she hasn't hosted nary an event, that's a problem. So of course, Gina pulls out her sob stories, which is always her go-to. She's like, well, the reason why I haven't invited you anywhere was because my life was awful. I'm like, that's no excuse. Because even if your life is crumbling, you can still invite a friend to dinner and treat them. Shannon and everybody else in this group has treated you to multiple dinners. And the fact that you're always in the receiving end and you're never the giver, that's an issue. It can't always be one-sided. So now Gina brings up how Shannon is always rubbing it in her face and telling everybody that she got Gina in contact with her lawyer, Mike Hill. She's like, I appreciate what you did for me, but that was 3 years ago. I said, how dare you? Because Shannon let it be known that had she not got you in contact with her lawyer, you would have been arrested in front of your kids. And she saved your ass. And for you to be so ungrateful and be like, well, you know, that was 3 years ago, I'm good now. And I'll bet money that Shannon paid for all that. If I was in a position like Gina and I had a friend save my ass like that, I would be saying thank you every single day. I'd be telling everybody I know, you know that Shannon got me, you know, out of this arrest. Like, you know, she really helped me. Like, that is my friend. I would never speak a bad word to or about Shannon. All that she has done for Gina, this is the ultimate slap in the face. And I was getting so heated. And Miss Girl, let's be real. Shannon and Heather have a lot more in common than you do with Heather. Shannon might not be as rich as Heather, but she does have money. So now Shannon is just so angry. She says, I did that from the kindness of my heart. So now Gina says, no, you didn't. You did it for yourself, to self-promote. I was like, you know, this girl has got to be kidding me. This is why you can't help everybody, because now they'll turn on you like that. So Shannon's like, you have got to be kidding me. Then Shannon adds that Gina needs to one day get on her level. So of course that's triggering for Gina. She gets up and leaves, and then has the nerve to call Shannon an asshole. I would have embarrassed Gina. And I mean just embarrassed her. I would have ripped her a new one. Everybody at the party sees what's going on. Heather, Emily, and Noelle are all looking like, oh my gosh, that went totally left. Now we see Heather and Shannon have a one-on-one, and Shannon's like, I cannot believe that she thinks that I'm jealous of her. Now, here's where I was annoyed with Heather. I'm not liking how she's automatically siding with Emily and Gina about this jealousy stuff. I always thought that Heather was a lot smarter than that, and I don't know why she's just automatically taking their word for it. Like, I understand that you've had a past with Shannon, but don't lie. You know good and well that Shannon is not jealous of anything that Gina has going on. So while Shannon is telling Heather her feelings about this whole ordeal, her and Heather get into it. Heather's like, well, Shannon, you've said a lot of stuff about me too. Like, you called me pretentious when you didn't know me. So Shannon's like, girl, let's not do this, okay? Because you were saying stuff about me too. You call me scary and aggressive and angry, so let's not. Like, we're even. So Shannon's like, look, I feel blindsided right now. I just want to go home and go to sleep. So she gets up, leaves the party, and I was just super disappointed that nobody seems to understand where Shannon's coming from. But I think that it's purposely done. I'm getting the impression that they want to ice Shannon out for some reason. I don't know why, but I think that there might be some intimidation and jealousy that Shannon has been on the show now the longest out of all of them. Now, while everybody else might not have Shannon's back, I love how Shannon's boyfriend rides hard for her, because when Shannon told him what happened, he was like, F Gina. Like, we are never talking to her again. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous that she would even think that you're jealous of her. I said, that's right, John. Stand by your woman, because that makes no sense. Now we move on to a short scene. Noellas at home, and she has the life coach come over. So she's discussing how she has some daddy issues. Her dad wasn't around. Remember that he was a well-known weatherman, but he didn't want to see Noella. So Noella says that growing up, she thought that if she got straight A's and was perfect, that maybe he would love her. Noella goes on to tell the life coach that she was programmed from a young age to stand by a man to make him look perfect, and how she's still seeking that validation that she didn't get from her father. So the life coach tells her that at the end of the day, all she can do is give that love to herself. Hearing about Noella's childhood and her having an absent father, that's really sad to hear. And I really do hope that she is able to work through her issues. And I think that her having a life coach and is talking about these things, that can only help you. So, I really do hope that Noella applies that. Self-love is very important. And I hope that she knows that she's worth more than bad relationships. I really do hope that she knows her worth. This next scene with Gina and Emily at Gina's house, because she hired some medium or some extractor to get the demons out of her, because she said that she hadn't been feeling right since they did that sweat lodge in Mexico. I was like, this scene is boring. I'm not amused. I'm not entertained. So we can just breeze on by this. I said, when it comes to Gina, I'm not interested and I don't care. And then jumping to another boring scene with Emily and her family having this dinner, and she's telling them how she wants to do a vow renewal, but Shane doesn't want to, and they're going to recreate their wedding photos. I said again, I'm falling asleep. Nobody cares. And Emily is another one who is grasping at straws to stay on this show by any means possible. Now we jump back over to Noella, and she has just received the news that her father passed away. We learned that her father passed away alone in his house. She received a letter from his executor that he had passed away, and she's devastated. She says that it's a weird place to be in because they didn't have much of a relationship, and he never even met her kids. So now Noella starts crying about how she kept him away from her kids because she was afraid that he was going to hurt them the way he hurt her. Then she says that that's one of her biggest regrets. I said, Noella, let me just talk to you like a friend. Don't blame yourself for that. You did nothing wrong, okay? Anybody would have those same reservations and concerns. You did the best thing for yourself and your children. You didn't want them becoming attached to a man who wouldn't be there. That's understandable. Please don't beat yourself up. But my heart really goes out to Noella about the passing of her father. And, I got choked up hearing that. As you guys know, it'll be almost a year in May since my father passed away. And it is painful every single day. Now we get to the final scene of this episode, and it is the big night of Gina's skincare launch party. She is super excited because this is her first event that she has ever hosted since she's been on this show. Her party is being held at her friend Tatiana's house, and all the guests are arriving. She invited everybody, including Shannon. Now, if I were Shannon, I would not have attended, because the fact that you think that I'm jealous of you, you think so poorly of me, then I will never be in your presence again. But Shannon is a class act, and she rolled up in there with a gift from Neiman Marcus and gave it to Gina. Noella arrives. All the ladies are hugging her, giving their condolences. We see Noella thanking Dr. Jen for the flowers that she sent over. And she says, yeah, I was trying to tag you for the flowers on Instagram, but I forgot that you blocked me. So Dr. Jen's like, yeah, I blocked you, girl. You know, it's okay. Don't have to tag me. Like, it's all right. We're good. But I said, Noella, what a sneaky way of you to try to get yourself unblocked. Gina's parents walk up to Shannon and they give her a big hug, and they're like, Shannon, we want to thank you again for putting Gina in contact with your lawyer, Mike Hill. Thank you so much. We could never thank you enough. I said, Shannon, you better be vindicated. And I was also screaming because Gina was on Watch What Happens Live after the episode wrapped, and she addressed that, and she was like, yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, Mom and Dad, really? Like, I had just gotten in her ass about that, and then it's like, you know, you're thanking her. I said, as they should. You look like a jackass to be mad at this woman who has done so much for you. But we end this episode with Gina giving a speech about how she's found a new purpose in her life, and she is so excited about this skincare. I just said, who is buying this? When I look at Gina, I don't look at her for any skin inspiration. When I look at Gina, there is nothing that I want to buy from her. I barely want to hear her speak. So please tell me again, who is buying this skincare? Because the majority of us share the same sentiments about Gina. Why is she on this show? But that's where the episode ends. And then we see a trailer for the next few episodes ahead. And it just seems like it's going to be more mess between Shannon and Gina. And then Heather and Noelle are still going at it. And baby, I'm ready for this reunion. I want to hear what these women have to say for themselves. But y'all, that was my double recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. And please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.